It's Coop backstage for Audacy. Our CMA Fest coverage brought to you by Simple Green. I am with Drake Milligan. What's up, man?
Enjoying it.
So I want to start with the album, Dallas Fort Worth. 14 tracks. You co-wrote all 14 of these songs. And there is, as I'm listening to it, I can hear that kind of Elvis influence, especially with a song like Hearts Don't Break Even. Absolutely. I mean, in the beginning, the intro and the music of that, I'm hearing it. I'm like, oh man, that's Elvis. Do you, because you have such a long tie with Elvis, which we'll go into in a little bit, is that like a conscious thing, or does it just come out when you're making these songs?
You know, it's really just a part of me at this point. I mean, it's just my influences. You know, when I moved to town, you know, because I used to be an Elvis tribute artist. That was my gig back in high school, right? And so I learned all the nuances of Elvis. And it's, you know, when I moved to town, I thought I needed to throw everything Elvis out the window. I didn't want to be the Elvis guy. But Tony Brown actually helped me. He's like, man, you got to use that stuff, you know, use all your influences, put them together, you know, put that together with Buck Owens and George Strait and Merle Haggard and see what comes out. And that's kind of what I try to do. It's like, okay. And now it's just, I don't even think about it. You know, it's
just automatic.
I'm singing and I'll do something. And I'll be like, oh, that's kind of an Elvis thing. And especially in the live show, because I spent so many years studying Elvis's live show. You know, I use things. Elvis's band was always great. You know, it was so interactive with his band, and so I encourage my guys to be like, you know, watch Elvis tapes, and if you pick up something that the drummer's doing,
roll with it.
Yeah. So we, you know, you kind of become your influences, just like Elvis did, just like anybody does. You know, you kind of borrow and steal little things.
So the story that we've heard that you've told many times is that you see this Elvis impersonator, and the rest is history. You decide in that moment, okay, this is what I want to do, but how does that, like, what are the steps to go? Because I want to look like Brad Pitt, but I've taken 0 steps to make that happen. How do you go from seeing this and then going, okay, you know what? Now I'm a songwriter. Now I'm an actor. Now I'm a performer. I'm an artist.
Well, those baby steps, you know, and all throughout like school, like, you know, I started out like, you know, lip syncing on the coffee table. Like those are the baby steps. And then eventually, you know, getting on stage, singing, eventually singing with the band, learning all of his songs. All the while I was always, when I picked up a guitar, I was playing, you know, these old country songs I grew up on, you know, George Jones, Merle Haggard, Alan Jackson too was a big part of my childhood. And so it just, I always wanted to do my own thing. And then when I got the part on the series Sun Records on CMT, I figured, well, I took the Elvis thing about as far as you can take it. You know, got to play him on TV and just use that as like, okay, now it's time for me to, you know, get to Nashville and just discover my own artistry. You know, I was lucky enough to get in the room with some great writers kind of early on and really learn how to craft a song, and got in with Tony Brown and Brandon Hood and who produced this record. And so it all kind of came together to me, but it was years of, you know, it was at least 4 or 5 years of me really digging down and writing every day and being in the studio and trying to develop a sound.
Do you think that acting, I'm glad you brought up Sun Records, do you think that acting helped with your confidence level? Because when I look at, you know, your career as we know it, I see extreme confidence because you go on American Idol and you go, you know what, I'm good. It's not my time, which I feel like would be a career bomb for anybody else. And then you're like, but whatever, I'm just going to keep going. You do America's Got Talent. And when you get on America's Got Talent, you do an original song. There's another thing that most people would be like, I don't know if I would do that. And it's all working out for you. Do you think that confidence comes from acting?
I think so too. Being comfortable behind the camera helps a lot, especially with America's Got Talent, because, you know, it is daunting. It's truly live. Those live performances are live, dude. And you're up there and you're like, I better not forget the words. And also too, it's like, you know, you have the giant theater and you have these thousands of people, but you also have millions of people behind those cameras. Right. And you have to make sure that you're connecting with them through that camera.
Right.
So you know, you really got to use that and try to reach people on the other side of that and not let it get to you too much. So no, the acting definitely helped with all that, and just the way I approach writing songs, and telling stories and cutting in the studio. All that stuff kind of can blend together in a way.
Vince Gill. You worked with Vince Gill and he actually performed the song. Was it at the Opry just the other day that you performed that song?
Okay, so this song, so Vince came in and sang on my track Going Down Swinging on the record, which is one of the first tracks I wrote when I came to Nashville. And I see this video last night. Somebody tagged me in it. It's a song like maybe a couple months ago. I went and wrote a song with Vince and Bill Anderson, the legendary songwriter Bill Anderson. And I was like, it's a great song. And all of a sudden, like I see a video of him performing it on the Opry.
I'm like, likes it.
I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, nobody told, I gotta call Vince about it. Cause I'm like, dude, you were singing our song. Like nobody told me. I was like, I got to see it. So, you know, that was special. I was freaking out in on my couch and like at midnight last night watching that video.
Let me ask you how you got all these amazing contacts because, excuse me, Vince Gill sounds like something I do. You wrote with Terry McBride and the Ride, 90s Country Fans. He's also a legendary songwriter. There's a lot of big names that you work with. How did you get those partnerships?
I'm just really lucky to get to know people. And I think it all kind of started, I mean, Tony Brown saw me on Sun Records and loved what I did. As far as portraying Elvis, Tony worked with Elvis back in the day, played keys for him. So once I met him and just having his backing, it really helped. And I sought out these guys. I go, Terry McBride wrote some of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
And why not try to get in the room with him and learn how to write a song from the source? And once word got around, I think around town and the songwriting community, that I was really eager to learn from these guys and do what they do best, which is make great country music. That's what I wanted to do. So I think once word got around to it, kind of helped me get in some of those rooms.
Drake, so good to catch up with you, man. Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.